He was paid to protect us, but when he discovered secrets hidden in our vault, our bodyguard turned on us. You know too much. Before we could react, he pushed us off a cliff during what was supposed to be a peaceful family retreat. Miraculously alive, hidden in the woods, bleeding and broken, my husband whispered the unthinkable, "Let's act like we're dead." And from the shadows, we became the greatest threat to those who tried to silence us. This is the story of betrayal, survival, and a revenge so calculated it destroyed everyone who crossed us. Subscribe for more shocking true stories, when protection becomes execution. I'm shaking as I tell you this story. Even now, 6 months later, my hands tremble when I think about that moment. Standing on the edge of a cliff, looking into the eyes of a man I trusted with my life, hearing him say those 4 words that changed everything. You know too much. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 38 years old, a mother of 2, wife to David Mitchell, a successful tech entrepreneur who sold his company for $200 million 3 years ago. We had everything: the dream house in Colorado, private security, a life people envied. But money doesn't protect you from evil. Sometimes it attracts it. Let me take you back to the beginning, to the day our perfect life became a nightmare. It started with a vault. Not just any vault. A climate-controlled, biometric secured vault in the basement of our estate. David had it installed when we moved in. For important documents, he said. Contracts, deeds, things we can't lose. But that wasn't all that was in there. 3 weeks before the incident, David came home looking pale. His hands were shaking when he poured himself a whiskey at 2 in the afternoon. Something he never did. "Sarah, we need to talk. Privately." I followed him to his study. He locked the door, closed the blinds. His paranoia scared me. "David, what's wrong?" He sat down heavily, running his hands through his hair. "Remember when I sold the company? The acquisition? Of course, it changed our lives. It wasn't clean, Sarah. The sale, there were things I didn't tell you. Things I had to do to make the deal happen." My stomach dropped. What kind of things? Bribes, falsified documents. I paid off government officials to approve technology patents that weren't entirely legal. The buyer wanted complete control of certain contracts, military contracts, and I gave them information I shouldn't have had access to. I stared at my husband like I was seeing a stranger. "David, that's treason. I know." His voice cracked. "It's essentially selling classified information, and I kept records of everything. Emails, transaction receipts, recordings of conversations, as insurance, in case they ever tried to come after me. Where are these records? In the vault. Everything's in there. Encrypted hard drives, physical documents, audio recordings. Enough evidence to send me to prison for 30 years and bring down a dozen powerful people with me." My blood ran cold. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because someone knows. I got an email yesterday, untraceable. It said, 'We know what you're hiding. Destroy the evidence, or you and your family will be destroyed.' Sarah, I think they're going to try to take the hard drives. Or worse, they'll take us." That's when we made the first mistake. We told our bodyguard, Marcus. Marcus had been with us for 2 years. Ex-military, impeccable references, completely professional. We trusted him. David told him everything. About the vault, about the threats, about the evidence. "We need extra security," David said. "Maybe we should leave town for a while. Take the family to the mountain house until this blows over." Marcus nodded, his face unreadable. "That's a good idea, Mr. Mitchell. I'll arrange everything. The mountain estate is isolated, easier to secure. I'll come with you, of course." We should have seen it then. The way his eyes flickered when David mentioned the vault. The way he asked, just a bit too casually, "What exactly is on those hard drives?" But we didn't see it. We were too scared, too desperate for someone to protect us. 3 days later, we drove to our mountain retreat, a luxury cabin on 50 acres of wilderness in the Rockies. Just the 4 of us. Me, David, our 2 kids, and Marcus. The kids, Emma, 12, and Jake, 9, were excited. They thought it was a vacation. They didn't know their father was hiding evidence of federal crimes. They didn't know their lives were in danger. The first 2 days were normal. We hiked, made s'mores, pretended everything was fine. Marcus was always nearby, always watching. We thought he was protecting us. We were wrong. On the third night, I woke up at 2 a.m. to use the bathroom. As I passed David's office, I heard voices. The door was cracked open. I peeked inside. Marcus was on the phone, his back to the door. His voice was low but urgent. "I'm telling you, the evidence is real. He has everything. Names, dates, transaction records. Yes, I've confirmed it. No, I haven't seen the drives yet, but he told me exactly where they are. The vault in the Colorado estate, biometric lock. Only he and his wife have access." My heart stopped. "What do you want me to do? All of them? Even the kids?" "I understand. Make it look like an accident. I can do that. There's a cliff about 2 miles from here. Dangerous trail. Hiking accident. It happens all the time in these mountains." I must have made a sound, a gasp, a whimper, because Marcus suddenly turned. Our eyes met. For one horrible moment, we just stared at each other. Then I ran. I ran to our bedroom, slammed the door, locked it. David woke up instantly. "Sarah, what?" "Marcus." I was crying, my words tumbling over each other. "He's on the phone with someone. He's planning to kill us. All of us. He said make it look like an accident. A cliff. The kids." David was out of bed in seconds. He grabbed his phone, but there was no signal. The mountains. We were too remote. "The kids!" I gasped. "We have to get the kids!" We ran to their rooms. Thank God they were both there, sleeping peacefully. We woke them quickly, quietly. "Get dressed. Now. No questions. We have to leave." Emma, being 12, knew something was terribly wrong. "Mom, you're scaring me." "I know, baby. Just trust me. Get dressed. Warm clothes. Hiking boots." David was throwing things into a backpack. Flashlights, water bottles, his gun. I didn't even know he'd brought a gun. We heard footsteps in the hallway, slow, deliberate. Then Marcus's voice, calm and cold. "Mr. Mitchell, Mrs. Mitchell, I know you're awake. Let's talk about this rationally." David looked at me. Our bedroom and the kids' rooms were on the second floor. There was a back staircase that led to the kitchen, but we'd have to pass Marcus to get to it. Unless, David pointed to the window. There was a roof below, part of the first floor extension. If we could get onto it, we could drop down to the yard and run to the woods. "You're insane," I whispered. "You have a better idea?" Footsteps getting closer. Marcus was checking the kids' rooms. We didn't have time to debate. David opened the window as quietly as possible. "Emma first, then Jake. I'll help you both down." Emma was crying silently, terrified but brave. She climbed through the window, David holding her hands as she lowered herself to the roof. Then Jake. I went next. The roof was steeper than it looked, slippery with morning dew. I slid, my heart in my throat, but managed to grab the edge. David came last. Just as he was climbing through, we heard Marcus kick in the bedroom door. "They're on the roof, going for the woods." David dropped down beside us. "Run! Get to the tree line!" We ran. The kids were fast, scared, their little legs pumping as hard as they could. We made it to the woods just as Marcus came around the side of the house. He had a gun. A shot rang out. Bark exploded from a tree 6 inches from my head. "Keep running!" David screamed. The forest was dark, our flashlights bobbing wildly as we crashed through undergrowth. Behind us, I could hear Marcus. He was gaining. Of course he was. He was trained for this. We were just a terrified family. David suddenly grabbed my arm and pulled us off the trail, into a dense thicket. "Hide. Don't move. Don't breathe." We crouched there, the 4 of us pressed together, Emma covering Jake's mouth with her hand to keep him quiet. Marcus ran past us. We heard his footsteps, his breathing, moving deeper into the forest. We waited. 5 minutes. 10. 15. Finally, David whispered, "We need to get back to the house. Get the car. Get out of here." But when we made it back, all 3 vehicles, our SUV, David's truck, and Marcus's car, had slashed tires. David checked his phone again. Still no signal. "The hiking trail," I said suddenly. "The one that goes to the overlook. It connects to the main road eventually. It's 5 miles. But if we can make it, it's our only option," David said. So we started walking. It was almost dawn now, the sky lightening but still dark under the forest canopy. The kids were exhausted, terrified. I kept looking back, expecting to see Marcus behind us. We'd been walking for maybe an hour when David suddenly stopped. "What?" I whispered. "Listen." At first, I heard nothing. Then, footsteps, coming from ahead of us. Marcus hadn't chased us deeper into the forest. He'd circled around. He knew where we were going. He stepped out onto the trail about 50 yards ahead. Even in the dim light, I could see the gun in his hand. "End of the line, folks," he called out. "I really didn't want it to be like this. You were good people, but you know what they say. Wrong place, wrong time." David pushed the kids behind him, pulled out his own gun. His hands were shaking. "Marcus, you don't have to do this. We can work something out. Name your price." Marcus laughed. "Mr. Mitchell, do you have any idea who you stole from? Who you double-crossed with that sale? These aren't people you negotiate with. These are people who make problems disappear. And right now, you and your family are a problem." "The evidence," David said. "You want the vault codes. I'll give them to you. Just let my family go. You think I trust you? You think my employers trust you? No. The evidence gets destroyed, and so do the only people who know it exists." He raised the gun. That's when Emma did something incredibly brave and incredibly stupid. She stepped out from behind David and screamed, "Leave my parents alone!" Marcus's attention shifted to her for just a split second. David fired. The shot went wide. David wasn't a trained shooter, but it was enough to make Marcus dive for cover. David grabbed me and the kids, and we ran off the trail, crashing through the forest toward, I didn't even know where, just away. We ran until my lungs burned, until Jake was crying that he couldn't go anymore, until Emma was stumbling with exhaustion. That's when we emerged from the tree line and found ourselves at the overlook. It was a scenic viewing point, a cliff edge with a spectacular view of the valley below, a 200-foot drop to rocks and churning river. It was also a dead end. Cliff behind us, forest in front of us, and nowhere else to go. Marcus emerged from the trees 30 seconds later. He wasn't even breathing hard. "Touching, really," he said. "A family that runs together. But this is where it ends." David still had his gun, but his hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold it. Marcus was calm, professional, trained. "Put the gun down, Mr. Mitchell. You're not going to shoot me. You're not a killer." "Neither are you," David said desperately. "Marcus, you're not a killer. You're a good man. I've seen you with my kids, laughing with them, protecting them. I was doing my job. This is also my job." He raised his gun, pointing it at David. I stepped in front of my husband. "If you're going to shoot someone, shoot me first. Make him watch. Make him live with it." Marcus actually looked uncomfortable. "Mrs. Mitchell, step aside." "No. Sarah, move." David tried to pull me back, but I held firm. Marcus's jaw tightened. "Fine. You want to play hero? Here's what's going to happen. All 4 of you are going to walk to the edge of that cliff. You're going to jump. Together. A tragic family suicide. The pressure of wealth, the stress, maybe Mr. Mitchell's guilty conscience about his business dealings. It'll make sense." "We're not jumping," David said. "Then I'll shoot you right here and throw your bodies over. Either way, you're going over that cliff. I'm just trying to make it easier." He took a step toward us. That's when Jake, my sweet 9-year-old baby boy, picked up a rock and threw it as hard as he could. It hit Marcus in the face. Not hard enough to hurt him, but enough to shock him. Enough to make him react instinctively, raising his arm to block. David tackled him. They went down hard, the gun skittering across the rocky ground. I lunged for it, but Marcus was faster, stronger. He threw David off and grabbed the weapon. "Enough!" Marcus roared. His lip was bleeding where the rock had hit him. His eyes were wild now, rage replacing professionalism. "You want to make this difficult? Fine. Get to the edge. Now. All of you." He pointed the gun at Emma. "I'll start with her, then the boy, then make you 2 watch them bleed out before I push you over. Is that what you want?" We walked to the edge, the 4 of us, holding hands, standing at the precipice of our deaths. The sun was rising now, painting the sky in beautiful colors. My last sunrise, I thought. David squeezed my hand. "I love you," he whispered. "I'm sorry for all of this. I'm so sorry." "I love you too," I whispered back. To the kids, "Close your eyes, babies. Hold tight to each other." Marcus stood behind us. "You know too much," he said quietly. "That's all this is. You know too much and they can't risk it. Nothing personal. He put his hand on David's back and pushed. We went over. All four of us, hands linked, falling through the air. Time slowed down. I saw the sky spinning, heard Emma screaming, felt David's hand gripping mine so tight it hurt. We were going to die, but we didn't. 15 feet down, there was a ledge, a narrow outcropping of rock that jutted out from the cliff face. We slammed into it with devastating force. The impact knocked the air from my lungs, sent pain exploding through my body, but we were alive. David landed half on top of me, shielding me from the worst of it. Emma and Jake tumbled into a small crevice in the rock face. They were crying, bleeding, but alive. Above us, I heard Marcus's voice. "No, that wasn't supposed to, did they?" He was leaning over, trying to see if we'd fallen all the way down. David's hand clamped over my mouth. His eyes bored into mine with desperate intensity. His lips moved silently, forming words. "Pretend. We're dead." I understood instantly. If Marcus thought we survived, he'd finish the job. But if he thought we were dead, I went limp, closed my eyes, stopped moving, even though every breath was agony. David did the same. He made a hand signal to Emma, and brave, brilliant Emma understood. She went still, pulling Jake close and covering his mouth to keep him quiet. We lay there on that ledge, 15 feet below where we should have died, and played dead. Above us, Marcus was talking on his phone. "It's done. All four of them went over. Yes, I'm certain. 200-foot drop. No, I'm not going down there to check. Have you seen those rocks? Nobody survives that fall. I'll head back to the house. Stage it to look like they left for a hike and never came back. Search and rescue will find them eventually, or what's left of them." His voice faded as he walked away. We waited. 10 minutes. 20. 30. Finally, David whispered, "Is everyone okay?" We weren't okay. Emma's arm was broken. Jake had a gash on his head that wouldn't stop bleeding. I had cracked ribs and couldn't move without screaming. David's ankle was twisted at a horrible angle. But we were alive. "We can't stay here," David said. "If search and rescue comes, they'll find us. But Marcus will hear about it. We need to get down, get hidden, and then—" He paused, something dark and determined crossing his face. "And then we make them think we're dead. We stay dead. And we destroy everyone who did this to us." Satam, Chapter 2. The dead don't stay buried. When ghosts come for revenge. It took us 3 hours to climb down from that ledge. 3 hours of agony. Of Emma biting down on a stick to keep from screaming when we moved her broken arm. Of carrying Jake because he was too injured to walk. Of David and I barely able to support ourselves, let alone the kids. But we made it. At the bottom of the cliff, we found a small cave. More of an indent in the rock face, but enough to hide us. We crawled inside and collapsed. For the first hour, we just cried, held each other, thanked God we were alive. Then David's face changed. The fear was replaced by something else, something cold and calculating. "Sarah," he said quietly, "Marcus thinks we're dead. The people who hired him think we're dead. The evidence in our vault. They think nobody can access it now." "What are you saying?" His eyes met mine. "I'm saying we have the ultimate advantage. They think we're gone. They'll let their guard down. They'll get sloppy. And we can use that. David, we're injured. We have 2 hurt children. We need a hospital. If we go to a hospital, we're dead. Really dead this time. Sarah, whoever hired Marcus, has resources, has power. The second we surface, they'll know. They'll send someone else. Someone better." "So what do you want to do? Hide in a cave forever?" "No, I want to make them pay. All of them." Over the next week, living in that cave and nearby abandoned cabins, David explained his plan. The evidence in our vault wasn't just about his crimes. It was about an entire network of corruption. Government officials, corporate executives, military contractors. Dozens of powerful people who would do anything to keep their secrets buried. "That's why they wanted us dead," David said. "Not just to silence me, but to eliminate the only people who knew the evidence existed. But now they think it's over. They think the threat is gone. How does that help us?" David's smile was grim. "Because dead people can access their own vaults. We have the biometric codes. And nobody's watching the house anymore because they think we're dead." He was right. We had an advantage they never expected. We could move unseen, access our own home, retrieve evidence that could bring down an empire of corruption. But first, we had to heal. For 3 weeks, we lived like fugitives in our own state. David snuck into a veterinary clinic at night and stole medical supplies, antibiotics, painkillers, bandages. He set Emma's arm using instructions from a medical website. We treated Jake's head wound. Slowly, painfully, we recovered. During that time, the news reported our deaths. Tragic accident claims tech entrepreneur and family. There were memorial services. People cried. Marcus gave interviews about his guilt, his failure to protect us. It was surreal, watching your own funeral on a stolen laptop in an abandoned cabin. He's good, David said bitterly, watching Marcus's tearful tribute. Oscar-worthy performance. Do you know who hired him yet? David had been using his tech skills to hack into networks, trace communications, follow money. I'm close. There's a name that keeps coming up. Richard Ashford. I froze. The defense contractor? The same. He was one of the people I gave classified information to during the sale, and he's got the most to lose if that evidence goes public. I think he's the one who orchestrated this. Over the next month, we executed David's plan with precision. Step 1, we broke into our own house at night, accessed the vault, and retrieved every piece of evidence. Encrypted hard drives, documents, recordings, everything. Step 2, we made copies, lots of copies, and we sent them to secure locations, safety deposit boxes in different states, trusted friends who thought they were just holding on to important papers for us. Step 3, we started leaking information, anonymously, small bits at first, an email here, a document there, just enough to make people nervous. Within 2 weeks, Richard Ashford's company stock dropped 30%. Federal investigators started asking questions. Journalists started digging. Step 4, we contacted Marcus. David created an untraceable email account and sent one message. I know you think we're dead. We're not. And we're coming for you. The response was immediate panic. Marcus called Richard Ashford. We had his phone tapped by then, courtesy of David's tech expertise. The conversation was beautiful. Marcus, they're alive. The Mitchells are alive. Richard, that's impossible. You said you confirmed the kill. Marcus, I did. I saw them fall. But I just got an email. Richard, it's a bluff. Someone else found the evidence, that's all. Stay calm. Marcus, what if it's not? What if they survived? Richard, if they go public? Richard, then we finish what we started. Find them. Really kill them this time. We recorded everything. Step 5, we set a trap. David sent Marcus another email, this one with more specific information. Meet me at the mountain house. Midnight. Come alone. Let's talk about how much money it would take for me to disappear for real. Marcus took the bait. We watched through hidden cameras as he arrived at the cabin, nervous, looking around constantly. He thought he was meeting David for a bribe negotiation. Instead, the FBI was waiting. We'd sent them everything. All the evidence, all the recordings, all the proof of the conspiracy to kill us, the corruption, the treason. We'd built an ironclad case. Marcus was arrested on the spot. He tried to run, but there were agents everywhere. The next day, Richard Ashford was arrested at his office, then 6 government officials, then 4 more corporate executives. The story exploded nationwide. Elaborate conspiracy to murder family exposed. Defense contractor orchestrated assassination. Tech entrepreneur's death was faked. Family in hiding builds case. And through it all, we stayed hidden, safe, watching our enemies fall. But here's where the story takes its final twist. Because David hadn't told me everything. 3 months after the arrests, after the trials began, after Marcus and Richard and the others were safely behind bars, David sat me down. Sarah, there's something I need to tell you. Something I've been keeping from you. My heart sank. What now? The evidence in the vault. It wasn't just about me selling classified information. It was bigger than that. How much bigger? David's face was gray. Sarah, I wasn't just a corrupt tech entrepreneur. I was a CIA asset. The whole thing, selling the company, passing information to defense contractors. It was a sanctioned operation. I was working with the agency to expose corruption in military contracts. I stared at him. You were a spy? An asset. Not officially CIA, but working with them. The evidence in the vault? It was always meant to be used, but only after I'd gathered enough to bring down the entire network. That's why they wanted me dead. They figured out I was going to expose them. So everything, the vault, the corruption, all of it, was part of a CIA operation? Yes. And our deaths? The agency knew we were in danger. They helped stage our survival. The cave, the stolen medical supplies, the abandoned cabins. Sarah, we were never really alone. There were agents watching us the whole time, making sure we stayed safe while we built the case. I couldn't breathe. You used our family. You used our children as bait in a CIA operation. I used myself as bait. You and the kids were never supposed to be at the mountain house. I told you to stay home, remember? But you insisted on coming, said the kids needed family time. Sarah, I never wanted you in danger. When Marcus pushed us off that cliff, I thought I'd gotten all of you killed. But you didn't stop it. You let it happen. David's eyes filled with tears. Because if I'd stopped it, if I'd revealed I was working with the agency, they'd have killed us anyway. The only way to survive was to let them think they'd won, to play dead, to build an unbeatable case. And it worked, Sarah. We won. They're all going to prison for the rest of their lives. I didn't know whether to hit him or hug him. So what happens now? I asked. Do we stay dead? Do we get a new identity? Witness protection? David shook his head. No. We get our lives back. The CIA is making it public that we're alive, that we were working with them to expose corruption. We're not victims anymore, Sarah. We're heroes. The family that took down a corrupt empire. I don't want to be a hero, I whispered. I just want my normal life back. We can't go back. But we can move forward. Together. Today, we're alive. Emma is 13 now. Jake is 10. They're in therapy, processing the trauma of what happened. They know their father worked with the government to catch bad people. They don't know all the details. They don't need to. Marcus is in federal prison. So is Richard Ashford. So are 11 other people who thought they could get away with murder and corruption. David and I are complicated. I love him. I hate what he put us through. I understand why he did it. I'll never fully forgive him for the risk. But we survived. And maybe that's enough. I still have nightmares about the cliff. About Marcus's voice saying, "You know too much," before pushing us into the abyss. About those 3 seconds of free fall when I was certain my children were going to die. But I also dream about the ledge, about the miracle of surviving. About David whispering, "Pretend we're dead," and me understanding immediately that we'd just been given a second chance. We died on that cliff. The old versions of ourselves, naive, trusting, soft, they fell all the way down and shattered on the rocks below. But we came back, harder, smarter, survivors. And when you've already died once, nothing can scare you anymore.